Welcome to this bonus edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. Saturday morning, about 9:30, coming to you from a hotel room in Milwaukee after Iowa State beats Lipscomb in their biggest point spread game in NCAA Tournament for the Cyclones. Game was really only in doubt. It was 15. Iowa State was down 15-16, and then they went on a run, and probably about 10 minutes into the game, and then it was just kind of smooth sailing. You hope no one got hurt. Lipsy in and out of the lineup looked pretty good. That was a big question. That'll be interesting to see off a day, and then you got to come right back instead of having a week off like he had before. So it will be interesting, and you're playing a different level of team in Ole Miss than Lipscomb. But overall, the NCAA tournament, not a lot of upsets. Colorado State is a 12 seed that's moved on, and McNeese State has moved on. Those are the two. They beat Memphis and they beat Clemson. Those are the two upsets, correct?
The two biggest ones, obviously, we'll get into Drake too. A lot of people had Drake winning. I think the biggest one though is McNeese over Clemson. A lot of people, myself, had Clemson going a little bit further. So when I was filling out one of my last brackets the night before, I'm like, I don't know if I picked McNeese in any of them. So there's always that one or two games that you pick the same team every time, and that was one for me where I was just constantly picking Clemson in that one. I think a lot of people were.
Yeah, and this is the one thing that I noticed, and obviously getting into the game, and Iowa State was one of the earlier games. We went into a bar a little bit before and watched the Iowa State women, and then went into the arena about noon and didn't leave to the arena till after halftime of the North Carolina game. So you obviously are watching Iowa State and you're following on your phone, but it was different not watching all the games. And even Thursday on the drive up here, we stopped at a couple breweries and then, went to a couple bars and everything. I do, and we've talked about this, it's hard to pay attention and to follow everything in a bar setting compared to when you're at home and you got a 4 TV setup and you can pay attention to it all, and you're trying to talk to other people and things like that too. I mean, that definitely gets into it. But I don't know what has all been going on in the tournament as much as I usually do, just because I'm here. And then we'd have this conversation about, I'm going to be here all day Sunday, 6:45. I'm going to get home at like 3 a.m. and ready to go to work just a few hours later. But that's a good problem to have. You don't want to lose, and this is 3-14, and we'll take that every day as long as we keep playing.
Yeah, I went to the games here in Denver a few years ago, and it's tough to keep up with everything, like you said, because when you're in the arena, obviously they've got the scores going up, but when you're with people, it's just you get to talking, and it is tough to pay attention. Now, for Iowa State, I think they had, 9 or 10 people score. I think they got almost everybody in the game, which was good.
Yep.
And then, there, like you said, it was close there at that 15-16 mark, whatever it was. And then after that, it really was just Iowa State just ran away with it, which is good. They've got now the real games start up. You can't really, the top 3 seeds or so can kind of be in cruise control that first game and get away with it. Now that you can't be in cruise control anymore, especially playing Ole Miss, who looked really good against North Carolina. I told you before, that was the one upset I had in the bracket that I had in your pool was Ole Miss over Iowa State. I think it's 5.5 point spread right now.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I saw last night. I haven't looked at it this morning. Just watching, Ole Miss was on fire in the first half, and then North Carolina came all the way back. I think they got it to 2. We left when it was about 20, and then by the time we got to the bar and everything, and then North Carolina came strolling back, and our friend Zach, who joins us here, is kind of a North Carolina fan, or definitely in that game was a North Carolina fan, was like, well, I guess I should have left earlier. One of those that we all do when you turn off the game and you come back and all of a sudden the team comes back or whatever. And then Ole Miss just made a couple plays down the stretch. I don't know if Ole Miss can shoot that well again, you never know. Every team left is good, but I do think as an Iowa State fan, I'd rather play Ole Miss than North Carolina, because North Carolina does have RJ Davis is an absolute stud, and the recruits that they have there are paid a lot of money, and they're the top recruits in the country every year. So the talent level that North Carolina North Carolina has, I believe, is better than Ole Miss. Now, I do think Ole Miss is a better team this year, but the talent level is always what scares you in a one-game tournament game, because sometimes talent just – you can't coach talent. Sometimes that guy just makes a play over your guy. And Iowa State is not the most talented team in the country. They're really, really good, and they're a really, really good team, but talent-wise, they are not in the top 10.
Yeah, North Carolina is always going to have some of the top talent. Like you said, very, very rarely is Ole Miss going to have more talent than North Carolina, if ever. What are you guys doing? How's Milwaukee? How is the arena? You got plans for today and tomorrow?
Yeah, Milwaukee's nice. I've never been here before. Milwaukee is nice. It's clean, super safe walking around. Been walking around all over. Our hotel, we're at the DoubleTree. It's probably a 7, 8, 9-minute walk down to the arena.
You get the cookies?
Yeah, we did get cookies.
Okay.
Absolutely. Got us handed cookies when we checked in on Thursday night. And yeah, the arena's relatively new. And I was talking to Laura here, and when we were walking around, and they've just got areas to hang out, and I wouldn't call them bar areas, but you just go get your beer. And then actually a couple places where you just walk in and grab your whatever you want and walk out, and it charges you. I mean, you slide your card in and there's no one even working there. But it's just the difference in professional arenas to college, and even like a Wells Fargo doesn't have a professional team arena. That, like when we went to Dallas, there's just places to stand around and hang and have a beverage, and you just don't have that in college and like Wells Fargo. And that's a little bit what holds Des Moines and Iowa State back a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been to Milwaukee, but I've heard from people that go there a lot that they like the downtown area. Going to the arena is fun. So, and as you mentioned when we got started, there hasn't been a ton of upsets. I mean, Colorado State over Memphis, a lot of people are picking that one.
Yep.
I know a lot of people had Colorado State as a Sweet 16 team because we have to – every year you basically got to have one double-digit team get to the Sweet 16. So there really wasn't a lot of surprises other than McNeese. So maybe we're going to get some today. I think does Tennessee play tonight? I know they didn't. They looked a little shaky. That was my my pick in your group. Which is another thing funny about March Madness is you can watch a lot of college basketball like you do on the men's side. You can watch none like I do, or you got people that just pick logos or team names. But so if on the men's side, I'm in 4 different groups.
Okay.
And I'm in the top 5 in all on the men's. So I'm doing good men's. In the women's bracket, I'm almost in last place. So that goes.
You're too knowledgeable. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what to make of that. So no, that's fun. Milwaukee is, from what I remember last time I was there, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they got. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of bars here. And obviously, they're very, very busy today or last night. Marquette was playing, and then obviously all the teams were here and around, and so it'll be interesting to watch today and then even tomorrow, where obviously half the teams left. Now, Lipscomb's not going to have a huge fan base. Xavier, not a huge fan base. Troy, not a huge fan base. But North Carolina did have a pretty good fan base. So it'll be interesting to see. And then just in general, especially with the 6:45 start Sunday with Iowa State, how many Iowa State fans leave. Now, I was assuming that obviously just everybody has different schedules and lives, that some Iowa State fans are leaving because it is Sunday and just can't stay all weekend, whatever. But then others would come in. Say the game was at 1 o'clock on Sunday. It's 5 hours from home. Drive up today, stay all night, watch the game, go home tomorrow. Well, with it being at 6:45, you're all in, committed to not getting home until the middle of the night if you come watch the game. So I do think that will sway some people from not coming from Iowa.
Yeah, when I saw that 6:45 tip time, that's a rough one. It's going to be a late night for you there. So you have to maybe see if you can get late checkout there at the hotel, so you don't have to go walk around all day or sit at the bar all day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so worried about that. I'm actually, the biggest thing is I want to get my car. Like, okay, I understand I got to check out of the room. Whatever.
You might be able to keep it there. You should ask the front desk.
Well, that's what, after we're done with this, I'm going to go down. Hey, pull the car up, can I fill it and then put the car back, and then after the game we'll walk back up here and then go from there. Because one, we're gonna have to pay to park somewhere, which is going to be the same price as probably in the garage here, and then it's just not hassle. And then I'm one of those, I like to walk a little bit anyway, get away from the traffic. It might be a little bit faster to get out. I don't know. So, because we're going to get out and get home as quickly as we can.
Yeah, hopefully Iowa State.
Yeah,
hopefully they win pretty easily, and you can maybe leave a little bit early and obviously beat some.
I have a hard time leaving games early. Just it hurts my heart, and when I watch people do it, it just hurts my heart.
Yeah, I'm not big on leave it early most of the time. If you pay for those tickets, they're typically expensive nowadays.
Yeah,
I like to stay till the end and see the celebrations and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the DoubleTree, they may let you keep parking there. They may just charge you for an extra day of parking. But
right, that'd be $20, whatever. I mean, I'm a Hilton Honors member, so that should help too. So.
Yeah, you have to, like you said, you're gonna have to pay to park anywhere you go. So, what's the difference?
Let's see. Let's go into Drake. Watch the game at a bar here. You watch it at home. Were you able to listen to the? So that was the one thing, and they didn't have. I mean, only one of the games is on that you can hear, and it wasn't that one. So, what were the announcers talking about, and what were they talking about with Ben McCollum and Jobs and stuff?
Well, obviously, Drake's one of the media favorites of this tournament. So you could tell the announcers like Drake. Bennett Sturts is becoming. That's the best thing about March Madness too, is a player like Bennett Sturts, who's probably not going to play in the NBA, right? He can become a legend during this March Madness run, which he kind of did already in the first game. He had some really unique shots that went in. The one leg
running one footer.
Yeah, that one. So that's one of the best things about March Madness is players like that can become legends, and we'll see if they can take down Texas Tech and continue that run even further. But for Ben McCollum, they're just really impressed with him. I know, we talked probably about a month ago or so, and this brings Josh Sash into the mix. If Ben McCollum leaves for Iowa, if you're Josh, what do you want? Do you want the Drake head coach job, or do you want to go be the assistant at Iowa? There's no wrong answer because both are going to be a bump in pay and you're going up the ladder in the coaching ranks.
I don't know if he can get the Drake job because I think what has Brian Harden, the AD at Drake, has done a phenomenal job, but I think he has a blueprint where, and I think this job, the Drake job now is proving, hey, you come here, you win, you can go get a good job. So you're going to get a career assistant like he did DeVries at a big time school. Like I think a couple of Iowa State assistants should be in play for that job. Or you get a guy like McCollum that's had huge success somewhere, or even lower. Like I think another guy that might be in play a little bit is the South Dakota State guy who was old McDermott guy. So he'd be in that same DeVries. And he's not had huge success there, but he's been in the NCAA tournament. And Drake is a step up. But he has head coaching experience. So if I'm Josh and McCollum goes to Iowa, or let's even say he goes to West Virginia or Villanova, Texas, I think is probably going to open. There's some rumblings at Tennessee. Now, I don't think McCollum can get that job, but somebody that takes that job, then McCollum will be in play for that job. So Beth Getz needs to get this done if she wants it done, because we don't know what's going to happen. Tennessee loses today. Rick Barnes retires tomorrow. That's a rumor. Texas fires their guy. I think McCollum would be in play for that job. Or does Texas go get a McCausland like they did Chris Beard away from Texas Tech because Texas is a better job, and then McCollum would be in play for the Texas Tech job? I mean, things like that. So dominoes fall. And so if I'm Beth Getz, I'm already, this better be, unless McCollum absolutely says no talking till we're done, this needs to be done right now. And I don't know Ben McCollum. I don't know his history. I don't know if he is one of those that says we're not talking. I'm not saying no, but we're not talking till I'm done to anybody. And that's okay. That's what should happen. But let's all live in reality. That doesn't happen. And I think if I'm a Hawk fan, and you are, and you're not a diehard Hawk fan, but you have to be 99% all in on McCollum. And if you don't get him, Beth Getz, and it may work out and everything, but I do think you have to believe that Beth Getz missed on her top two people.
Yeah, if you're an Iowa fan, this is who you want. And if it,
so
as you mentioned, and the more games that Drake wins, the more popular he's going to get. Then teams like Texas
and
the
more money,
the more money. So if Iowa's got an emergency fund of money somewhere, like if you've got an extra $1 million lying around that Beth Getz can get access to, right, to make this happen, I don't know if that would get the deal done or not. But yeah, for Ben McCollum, he's definitely going to have options, as he should. 30-3, the win there over Missouri. We'll see if they can take down Texas Tech. I think they're 6.5 point, or 7.5 point underdogs right now. So that'll be interesting. That the Drake Texas Tech game is kind of a win-win or a lose-lose for me, because if Drake wins, I'm going to be happy because the story continues. But I also have Texas Tech making the Sweet 16 on a bet. So that's one of those kind of a double win or a double lose type of situation.
Yeah, and just one other kind of inside story there. I believe McCausland and McCollum are friends. Like they get together in the off seasons and talk ball. And another one of those kind of in the circle there is Dusty May at now Michigan, was at Florida Atlantic, and McCausland was at North Texas. So, McCollum was at Division II, North Texas and FAU mid-majors, and now they're all – now McCollum's still at mid-major. He's not going to be next year unless he just truly wants to. They're all going to be at a high-major program beginning next year.
Yeah, and back to Iowa real quick. I mean, I know I heard you and Zach talk about some of the names on the last episode you guys did. Obviously, outside of Reese and McCollum, I don't know a lot of the coaches you got. Do you know who do you think would be Iowa's next head coach if McCollum doesn't take it?
Well, the other one, I think you have to make this call just because you're not doing yourself a service if you got to call Nico Medved, the old Drake coach before DeVries, who's at Colorado State. Now his price just went up too. Now most people believe that he's going to go to Minnesota because I think he is from Minnesota, but Iowa, Minnesota are very similar jobs. And now there's way more talent in Minneapolis area than there is in the state of Iowa as basketball players, but we've proven that they don't go there. They go all over the country. And that's what I was thinking about here. So yesterday in Iowa State's game, the Lipscomb leading scorer was from Sheboygan, just north of here an hour. And then Monsilovich was the leading scorer for Iowa State. And he's from a suburb here. If I'm Marquette fan or I'm a Wisconsin fan, I'm not real happy. I'm like, these guys can help. I mean, they might not be your best player every year. Now, I think Monsilovich could be, but these two guys can help your programs. And you're letting these guys go to – now, Lipscomb's a little different. He might not have projected to be a high Division I player. He's big. He can shoot. But Monsilovich was player of the year in Wisconsin. So whatever TJ's doing up here – and Iowa State's got a lot of players from Milwaukee and Wisconsin area. Now you get, like Halliburton from Oshkosh, which is on the Iowa border. I mean, it's not whole. I mean, it is farther to Ames, but it's not ungodly farther to Ames than to Marquette. Now it'd be closer to Madison. Because that's what, I've not spent a lot of time here in Wisconsin, but, Dubuque to Madison's an hour. Then Madison to Milwaukee's an hour. So Dubuque to Milwaukee's only a couple hours. It's not as big a state as you think it is.
Yeah, it's not too far of a trip, and you're right. When you've got those good players in state and they don't go to the big universities, that's always frustrating. It's like with Iowa football and the quarterbacks in state that always go somewhere else. You always wonder why can't we get one of them to to be the guy at Iowa? So that is always a little bit frustrating. Do you have for one last thing on Drake? They play a unique style. They always try to shoot with under 5 seconds left. I think the key for them today is, at halftime, obviously if they could be leading, that's great, but don't be down by any more than 5 or 6. If they're down by double digits, that's gonna change their style of play and make it a little bit tougher for a comeback.
And if you are just a random basketball fan and don't know this, if you look at the recipe for an upset, and like we said, not too many of them happened this weekend so far, it's low scoring. Most of these teams, if the game is 90 to 85, the lower seeded one is going to win, the better team. But if the game is 60 to 55, then it comes down to one or two shots. And that's a crapshoot. And I like my chances with Bennett Sturts taking maybe an off balance 3-pointer with a minute and a half left with 2 seconds on a shot clock. He's going to make a very high percentage compared to a lot of players in the country. And when it comes down to one shot, okay, you're down 1 point or you're down 2, and he takes 3. Now you're up 1. They go down, they miss a shot, which happens. It's, the best shooters in the world only shoot 50%. Now all of a sudden you're up 1 with 20 seconds left. Now you're going to get fouled. Now if you can make free throws, which was they did not do that well. That was the scary part on Thursday night. They only shot 50% from the free throw line. But then if you can make a couple free throws, now they have to hit a 3. It happens, but then you can get the strategy of fouling or not fouling. And but you're in a dogfight. And when you're an 11 seed against a 3 seed, that's all you can ask for. Hey, we're a minute left in the game. We got shot. If the things go our way, a ball goes our way, then we win. If it doesn't, we lose, but we're right there. But if it gets into a shootout, Drake, especially because of the way they play, is out. But just in general, the Cinderellas and the high seeds do not want to play up and down because they cannot match physically an Alabama, a Texas Tech, an Iowa State, and then all the 1 seeds in Auburn, Florida. You get running up and down the court in a pickup game, the better athletes are going to win that game 99% of the time instead of 85% of the time when you play in a regular basketball game that's walking up the court, slow it down, stuff like that.
Yeah, Drake's going to have to take care of the basketball versus Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech broke a record for number of threes attempted in their first game. So that's, if Texas Tech tries that strategy again, now that was because one of their best players or some of their guys are being left open. But, if that could work in Drake's favor, if they're missing a bunch of threes, I doubt they're going to shoot anywhere close to that again. But for Drake, obviously they're really a fundamental team. They're fun to watch. I mean, they're scrappy on defense. I think obviously on offense, so it's going to be about taking care of the ball. And like I said, at halftime, if you're up, that's awesome. If you're down, you want to be down single digits because if they're down by 10 plus, it's going to be tough to mount a comeback.
Absolutely. Any real teams to watch today or tomorrow that you're I know you kind of talked about the Drake Texas Tech just for you personally, but any others that you can think of that you really want to watch? One game that I'm interested in is the St. John's Arkansas game. 2 of the best coaches, 2 coaches that are older. Obviously, Pitino is really old, but have always lived on the line of what's legal now in college basketball, paying players, illegal, impermissible. I think it used to be the term impermissible benefits. Well, now they're all permissible benefits. So those guys are living their best life now. They're not ones that want to get out because they've done this their whole lives. And people like Jay Wright and others that you think did it more the right way in quotation marks, don't want to deal with this. But these guys have lived this life most of their career. And so I think that's one to watch. Any others that you can think of?
Really, all the games are interesting in their own right. I think BYU and Wisconsin is going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that game.
That could be a high-scoring one.
A high-scoring game. I think in your bracket challenge, I do think I have Gonzaga beating Houston is my big upset.
Hope not. That's who I have winning the national title.
So. Yeah, I know. So that's I'll be interested in that one. Creighton, they're a 9.5-point dog against Auburn. Creighton came out shooting really well. Auburn looked a little rusty at first. So can Creighton keep that one close? That'd be awesome if Creighton could really upset there.
Yeah, it's this time of year. Every game's fun. It's starting to get spread out a little bit. So your first game's at 11:30 or whatever is a standalone game. Then the next one's a standalone game. Then you get about a half, and then they start, going 3 and 4 at a time. And the Kentucky team got us. That's why we're playing at 6:45 tomorrow. They wanted the Kentucky game early to get a higher TV broadcast rights. So that's once Kentucky won up here, I was like, well, darn it. Kind of thought that it would be. Now I was hoping it would be like 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or something like that instead of 6:45. But they did move it pretty late. But it also makes sense. Like Duke's one of the first games, and I mean the way they did it makes sense. But no, this is still 2 of the best days of the year. Still a lot of basketball games. You'll have games from 11:30 till most of midnight here tonight. Yeah, and then obviously being here in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin game is going to be on every TV, and it's going to be nuts up here for watching that game. And
Yeah,
then for me, then we'll go find. We'll probably find that Iowa State group party there and watch the Drake game. So,
no, that'll be fun. Hopefully Drake can pull the upset. It'd be fun to see him keep going on for the women's side here. I know as we're going to end, Iowa's the first game. I got to go to the gym. That's why I wanted to do this with you a little bit early.
Perfect.
I got to watch the game at the gym because otherwise I get too stressed when I'm just sitting here at home. So they're playing Murray State, who's the highest scoring team in the nation. If Iowa does win, I think they're a 9.5 point favorite. They're most likely play Oklahoma, who's the 4th highest scoring team in the nation. So they've got 2 tough ones if they end up going that far. I hope they can keep it going. Like I said, especially the way they've come down the stretch, they feel like a top 20 team in the nation to me. But as we know, you have a bad day shooting, and your season and your career is over.
Yeah, and you're the women's basketball genius on this program. Iowa State did lose yesterday. They were kind of down to start, and then came back, took the lead, and then fell apart kind of towards the end. And overall, I believe a disappointing year for the Cyclones. Preseason top 10, never lived up to that. Would have liked to see. That would have been an upset. It was a 6-11 game, so they were supposed to lose, but they had a chance. They were up 7 or 8, I believe, with starting the fourth quarter, and then kind of trying to win away, or maybe blew it in the third quarter. I can't remember for sure. It was right. The problem with that game was it was starting to get close and getting to the end right when you're walking into the arena and getting sat down and everything. But overall, kind of disappointing year for Iowa State, but 4 sophomores. So if they all come back, which is always question marks, I mean, just women's basketball, I think the true number is different than the men's game, but there's still money to be had by these women, which well deserved. They got to make decisions that are best for them, and they have the same rules and can go get paid somewhere else and transfer if they want. And so you never know until they suit up next year who actually is going to be on your team.
It was a good effort by Iowa State. Like you said, they had a lead there at the end, but in the first half, way too many turnovers. And then toward the end of the game, Michigan just couldn't miss. So it's good experience for all the sophomores. Like you said, if they all come back, hopefully they can, it's a learning experience. You're up with a chance to win it. Michigan comes back there. Like I said, they just couldn't miss at the end. So as you said, a little bit of a disappointing year for Iowa State. But if you get all those sophomores to come back, the expectation should be high again for Iowa State next year.
Yeah, I think you got to go find a point guard. And, you talk about losing players. Well, you got to go get players too. So go get a true point guard and let's try to run it back. Keep everybody else there. Audie Crooks, Addie Brown, you got to keep them too. All the others is what it is. So. Anything else, Trev?
No, one other game or player to keep an eye on for the women's side is Georgia Amore for Kentucky. She came over for Virginia Tech with her coach. She's been in the Final Four before. She had a big game that they almost lost. That was almost the big upset on the women's side. I do have them beating USC in the Sweet 16 in our bracket challenge. So if that happens, I'll have a good chance to get back toward winning it. If USC beats Kentucky, look at everybody else's brackets and who they have winning. I have no chance. So that's basically what my bracket challenge comes down to there. But she's a fun player to watch. They play Kansas State. If you watch Georgia Amore, one thing I like about her is when she shoots free throws, it's quick. I mean, that's probably the fastest free throw shooter I've seen in the entire country. One bounce of the basketball, and she just pops it right up. No thinking about it, which I like because, as you know, some players shooting free throws, they get in their own head. They sit there for like 5 seconds staring at the rim. deep breaths. You've seen players do all that kind of stuff. She's a total opposite. So she's a fun player to watch. But like I said, hopefully Iowa can get it done today. And then if they do play Oklahoma, you go from the top scoring team in the nation to playing Oklahoma as the fourth highest scoring team. So it's going to be tough. If Iowa the past couple of years with Caitlin Clark is the highest scoring team. Now they've got to go play some teams like that, and we'll see if their experience can get through for them.
Yeah, and then Jeannie Bronchek, former Hawkeye player, played under Lisa Bluter and Jan Jensen there, I believe, and probably was recruited at Drake as well, because I think I was right in the transition time when she left Drake to go to Iowa. Dowling Catholic kid, and if they didn't hire Jan Jensen, she probably was the one that you should have went after to go get her if you could have. But Oklahoma's a good job as well.
Yeah, it is. And then looking at our, let me see here on some of our brackets that we're doing. I got to go all the way to the bottom of my women's one because I'm doing so bad in yours. So Trisha's got a perfect bracket. There's 1.4% of people that have a perfect women's bracket right now. And then Taylor's sitting at second at 150 points. So Trisha and Taylor are leading on the women's side. I think the men's side on yours, I'm in fourth. I noticed I'm the only one to pick Tennessee. So that's my I got to have Tennessee.
And that's mine too. I'm the only one that has Houston. So if and that's really what it comes down to. You have to have your Elite Eight. I think that if you look at the more Elite Eight teams you have left, the better. And then you really need to pick the champion, because then if you have the Elite Eight, if you have 6 or 7 Elite Eight teams, and then you have the champ, you're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, you get more points, obviously, as the tournament goes on. So losing a few here and there in the first opening round is not the end of the world, unless it could be a tiebreaker at the end. But you're right; you got to have those Elite Eight teams for most of them, and then plus getting the champ right. And if you can have both teams right, making the championship, that's huge as well.
Yeah, it's just like Clemson. Clemson losing to McNeese State does not hurt you unless you have Clemson going to like the Final Four. Like if you had Clemson losing the next round to the 4 seed, it's fine. No one else. Very few picked them in anyway. So it's just as long as your team still is alive for the Sweet 16 Elite 8, those first round upsets don't really matter.
Yeah, and I've got a few bets out there. I know I sent you and Zach one yesterday on the women's side that I'm hoping could come through for me. I feel pretty good about it, but as we know, anything can happen. And then on the men's side, my biggest long shot bet that I did was Michigan State versus Tennessee in the championship game. And that it really wasn't too big of a bet, but that would pay out a lot of money.
Yeah,
so I'm
sure
hoping
it would.
I'm hoping that one
so it's just to make those two teams in the final.
Yeah, I'd pay out right around 8,000.
Oh boy, that's a good one.
So that's that number 2 seeds making. It's a long shot to get both teams right.
Right.
That's why you can get on DraftKings. It's the only one that I did. I didn't do a bunch of them. I was playing around on DraftKings because you can mix and match, obviously, who makes the championship game. And I was trying to find a long shot, but a realistic long shot. I thought 2 number 2 seeds, so it could happen. So I'm hoping for that one. But other than that, I don't have any other championship bets in that one.
No, very good. All right, Trev, I think that'll be enough today. I know you want to get what time does the Iowa game start?
It starts in either 1 hour or an hour and a half. 1 second here. It starts 52 or 58 minutes.
Yeah,
top of the hour.
Yep. So 11 o'clock Hawkeye women. Drake men are at 5:10 Central.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the 2 games to keep an eye on for the majority of Morgan Asked For podcast listeners. And again, thanks everybody for listening. Rate, review, subscribed. We thank you for all of it. And follow us live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I know some people are doing that as well. We thank you guys very, very much. And have fun. And we'll probably try to do one early next week. Don't know for sure. And obviously, it's not going to be Sunday after the tournament because I'm going to be driving. So Trevor and I will talk and maybe try to get Zach as well. But early next week, we'll have a full recap of the second round and preview the Sweet 16 games going in. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in, And we'll talk to you next time here on Morgan Yes for Podcast.
All right, you guys have fun.